Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are gearing up for another Thursday night football showdown, and all eyes will be on their electrifying quarterback, Jayden Daniels. After a dazzling performance against the New York Giants, Daniels proved that even when he's not firing on all cylinders, he's capable of leading the Commanders to victory. Against the Giants, Daniels' composure under pressure and ability to make plays both with his arm and his legs reminded fans why he was the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Now, with the team traveling to Lambeau Field to face the Green Bay Packers, the stakes are higher, the lights are brighter, and the pressure is magnified. This isn't just another game on the schedule. It's a national primetime spectacle where every throw, every read, and every decision will be dissected by millions watching across the country. Daniels has already shown that he thrives under these conditions, shining during primetime appearances throughout his rookie season and leaving an indelible mark on the Commanders' run to the NFC Championship game. The question now is whether he can replicate that magic against a Green Bay defense bolstered by off-season additions and the presence of one of the league's brightest young quarterbacks, Jordan Love. It's no secret that Thursday night football poses unique challenges. Shorter weeks of preparation often put defenses at a disadvantage, but it also compresses the margin for error for offenses. Despite this, analysts are expecting fireworks, particularly from two of the league's most promising young signal callers. Ryan Heckman of NFL Spin Zone has boldly projected that Daniels and Love could combine for 700 total yards, an eye-popping number that would represent one of the most prolific offensive performances of the early season. Daniels, fresh off a 301-yard performance against the Giants, will be looking to elevate his game even further. Meanwhile, Love, who threw for just 188 yards in his Week 1 matchup against the Detroit Lions, will be hungry to prove that he belongs in the conversation with the league's elite quarterbacks. Together, these two stars of the NFC could turn this Thursday night into a shootout that fans will be talking about for weeks, not just because of the statistics, but because of the intensity, skill, and sheer athleticism on display. The Commanders themselves are in a fascinating position entering Week 2. While Week 1's result was undeniably important, the performance itself highlighted areas that need refinement. Penalties, for instance, remain a significant concern for Washington, and the offense's timing and execution are still in the process of being fine-tuned under the guidance of Daniels. Another key factor is the role of veteran wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who, due to an extended contract dispute, missed the entirety of training camp and preseason preparations. His integration into the offense is not just a luxury. It's a necessity if the Commanders hope to maximize Daniels' talents and keep defenses on their heels. The synergy between Daniels and his receiving core will be critical, especially against a Packers defense that features the newly acquired All-Pro edge rusher Micah Parsons, who instantly elevated Green Bay's Super Bowl aspirations with his presence. Every snap, every adjustment at the line of scrimmage, and every big play downfield will be magnified in this primetime spotlight, and the pressure to execute will fall squarely on Daniels' shoulders. Beyond the XS and OS, this matchup carries an undeniable narrative weight. Two young quarterbacks, both with immense potential, both with legacies to start building, will face off under the national spotlight. For Daniels, it's a chance to prove that his rookie season success was no fluke and that he can consistently perform at an elite level against top-tier competition. For Love, it's an opportunity to shake off the rust of Week 1 and showcase the raw talent that made him a first-round pick. And for fans, it's an opportunity to witness a game that could very well define the trajectory of both teams' seasons. There's something inherently thrilling about seeing young quarterbacks in primetime. And when you combine Daniels' dual-threat ability with Love's strong arm and improvisational skills, the stage is set for a game that could redefine expectations for Thursday night football. Analysts point out that both teams also displayed stout defensive performances in Week 1, which adds another layer of intrigue. When defenses are disciplined and capable of forcing turnovers, the margin for error on offense shrinks dramatically. That's why Heckman's prediction of a combined 700-yard offensive explosion is so bold. It assumes not only that Daniels and Love will perform at peak efficiency, but also that the offenses can find creative ways to exploit weaknesses in otherwise formidable defensive units. If the Commanders are to have any hope of walking out of Lambeau with a win, they'll need Daniels to operate at his highest level, make split-second decisions under duress, and continue to command the offense with the poise and confidence that earned him the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Every read, every pass, and every touchdown will matter in a game that promises to be one of the most talked-about contests of the season. The storyline is further enriched by the context of the early season schedule. Teams are still ironing out kinks, building chemistry, and adjusting to new schemes and personnel. For Washington, the penalties that have crept into their game plan need immediate attention. For Green Bay, integrating Parsons and maximizing his impact on the defensive front is still a work in progress. Yet, despite these uncertainties, the quarterback matchup between Daniels and Love remains the focal point. Fans tune in not just to see which team wins, but to watch two young stars push the limits of what is possible on the field. Every touchdown pass, every scramble, and every clutch conversion will feed into the narrative of rising young quarterbacks leading their franchises into contention, and the potential for this game to become an instant classic is undeniable. For the Commanders, the pressure isn't just on Daniels. It's on the entire roster to rise to the occasion. Offensive line play, tight end blocking, and the chemistry between receivers and their quarterback will all be under intense scrutiny. Yet, Daniels has consistently shown that he thrives under this level of attention. His poise, decision-making, and ability to improvise on the fly are attributes that have set him apart from his peers. Even when facing a Packers defense bolstered by elite talent, Daniels has the tools, skill set, and mental fortitude to orchestrate a memorable performance. Primetime games are where legends are made, and Daniels has already demonstrated that he's more than capable of stepping into that spotlight, commanding the game, and delivering moments that will be remembered long after the final whistle. The matchup also underscores the broader implications for both franchises. A win for the Commanders could catapult them to early season NFC prominence and validate the faith placed in Daniels as the cornerstone of the franchise. Conversely, a loss wouldn't necessarily doom their campaign, but would highlight areas for improvement that need to be addressed quickly. For Green Bay, the stakes are equally high, proving that the addition of Parsons and the continued development of Love can propel them into legitimate Super Bowl contention. This creates a high-pressure environment where every mistake is magnified and every big play is celebrated, making the quarterback duel even more compelling. Daniels' ability to perform in such high-stakes situations will be a key storyline to follow, particularly as the league continues to search for its next generation of elite signal callers. As the kickoff approaches, anticipation builds not just among fans of the Commanders and Packers, but across the NFL landscape. Thursday Night Football has a long history of delivering unforgettable moments, and this clash promises to be no different. With two young quarterbacks at the helm, both capable of producing jaw-dropping plays, the potential for offensive fireworks is enormous. Daniels, in particular, enters this contest with the confidence of a player who has already proven himself on the national stage. His rookie season accomplishments have set a high bar, but the opportunity to perform again under the lights, against a formidable opponent, adds another layer of excitement. Whether it's a perfectly thrown deep ball, a scramble for a crucial first down, or a last-minute touchdown drive, Daniels has shown that he thrives in these moments, and fans will be eager to see him rise to the occasion once more. Ultimately, this Thursday night showdown is more than just a game. It's a showcase of talent, resilience, and the next generation of NFL leadership. For the Commanders, victory will hinge on their ability to execute cleanly, capitalize on opportunities, and allow Daniels to operate at his best. For Daniels himself, it's another chance to prove that he belongs in the conversation with the league's top quarterbacks, and that his rookie season brilliance was only the beginning. Fans tuning in can expect a thrilling, high-energy contest filled with big plays, strategic battles, and moments of individual brilliance. Whether or not the Commanders walk away with a win, one thing is certain. With Jayden Daniels under center, Thursday Night Football will deliver a spectacle that will have everyone talking well into the weekend. As kickoff approaches at Lambeau Field, the stage is set, the players are ready, and the NFL world waits with bated breath for what promises to be another unforgettable primetime performance from one of the league's brightest young stars. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL is never short of drama, but every once in a while something really shakes the foundation of what we think we know. And right now, one of those stories is starting to bubble up with more heat than anyone expected. Word coming out of the league's inner circles is that the Washington Commanders, a franchise that has been trying to reinvent itself both on and off the field, may have just pulled off a move that absolutely nobody saw coming. The whispers are getting louder, and the rumor making its way through insiders, locker rooms, and social media threads is that Chase Young, the former face of their defense, might actually be on his way back to Washington in what sources are calling a quiet, under-the-radar negotiation. It's the kind of storyline that sounds like fiction, but the NFL is built on these kinds of twists, and fans are starting to get very curious about how much truth there might be in all this smoke. For anyone who has followed Chase Young's career, the idea of him returning to the Commanders feels like a full-circle moment that's almost too dramatic to believe. Drafted as the number 2 overall pick, he came in as a generational edge rusher, a player who was supposed to change the identity of Washington's defense for the next decade. His rookie season showed flashes of exactly that: power, speed, energy, and the kind of ferocity that made offensive coordinators lose sleep. But injuries hit hard, inconsistency crept in, and before long the narrative had shifted. The Commanders, who once built their defensive future around him, let him go in a move that divided the fan base. Some thought it was necessary to reset, others thought it was premature, and Chase himself seemed ready to prove his worth elsewhere. That's why the idea of him possibly reuniting with the very franchise that let him walk has the football world buzzing with equal parts excitement and disbelief. What makes this rumor so juicy is the way it's being described. Insiders are not talking about a traditional trade with all the fanfare and media coverage. They're calling it secret, a behind-the-scenes back-channel negotiation that's been brewing for weeks without any leaks until now. Supposedly, conversations have been happening quietly between the Commanders' front office and Chase's camp, and while nothing official has been put on paper, the framework for a reunion is there. Some suggest the Commanders are exploring a way to bring him back on a short-term deal, something heavy on incentives, a prove-it contract that would let him re-establish his reputation in the same city where it all began. Others whisper that it could be part of a larger restructuring of the defense, a sign that the new regime in Washington wants to reconnect with some of the old energy while still shaping a new identity. Fans are already split on whether this is genius or desperation. On one side, you have the believers who argue that Chase Young never really got a fair shot to reach his potential in Washington because of the injuries and constant coaching turnover. They point out that he still has the raw talent that made him one of the most hyped prospects in years, and at just 25 years old, his story is far from finished. Bringing him back could be a low-risk, high-reward move, the kind that turns into a highlight reel comeback if it works out. On the other side, skeptics warn that this smells like the same old Commanders, chasing nostalgia instead of moving forward. They argue that the team should focus on building around fresh talent, not revisiting past decisions that didn't work out. The tension between hope and cynicism is what gives this rumor its electricity, and you can already feel the online debates raging every time the subject comes up. What's particularly interesting is how this lines up with the Commanders' current situation. With new ownership trying to change the culture, new coaching philosophies being installed, and a roster that still feels like it's in transition, a move like this could be symbolic as much as strategic. Chase Young returning would send a message not only to fans but to the locker room, signaling that the franchise isn't afraid to take bold steps to mend past mistakes and reclaim lost potential. It would also instantly energize a fan base that has been starving for good news, something exciting to rally behind as they head into a new era. You can imagine the buzz in the stadium if Young were to run out of the tunnel in a Commander's jersey again, the kind of goosebump moment that marketing departments dream of. From a business standpoint, the move makes sense, and from a football standpoint, it's at least intriguing enough to justify the conversation. Of course, there's always the question of whether Chase Young himself even wants this. Players don't forget when they're let go, and pride plays a big role in professional sports. Young may still feel the sting of how things ended in Washington, the way his exit was framed, and the doubt that surrounded his future. But there's also the appeal of redemption, of coming back to the very place where expectations were sky-high and proving that he can still deliver. For an athlete, the chance to flip the narrative, to change boos into cheers, is often irresistible. Sources close to his camp have hinted that he's open to the idea if the situation is right, especially if it gives him a platform to showcase his health and drive. If this is true, then maybe the rumored negotiations aren't just speculation. Maybe they're the beginning of something real. It's also worth noting how rare it is for a player of Young's profile to come back to the same team that moved on from him so quickly. The NFL is full of stories of reunions, but usually they come later in a career when a veteran is looking for one last stop before retirement. In Chase's case, he's still in his mid-20s, still young enough to redefine his trajectory. That's part of what makes this so fascinating. It's not a farewell tour. It's potentially a second act. If he were to return and play at the level many expected when he was drafted, it would be one of the biggest comeback stories in recent memory. And if he struggles, well, it would confirm the doubts that have followed him since leaving Washington. Either way, it's the kind of storyline that keeps fans hooked, because the stakes are so high. Behind all the speculation, one thing is clear. The Commanders are in the middle of a crucial period where every move will be scrutinized. The front office knows they can't afford to keep making mistakes, and any decision involving Chase Young would either be celebrated as visionary or criticized as reckless. That's why the word secret keeps popping up in these rumors. It's as if the team is testing the waters, gauging reaction without fully committing. They know the buzz is out there, and maybe, just maybe, they're letting it spread to see how fans and analysts respond before making the final call. In today's NFL, perception matters as much as production, and this rumor could be part of a bigger strategy to manage both. At the end of the day, whether this reunion actually happens or not, the fact that it's even being discussed shows how unpredictable the league can be. Chase Young's name still carries weight, his presence still sparks debate, and his potential is still tantalizing enough to keep franchises interested. For the Commanders, a team constantly trying to shake its reputation for dysfunction, bringing him back could be the gamble that changes everything, or the move that proves nothing has really changed at all. That's why the story has legs, that's why people are leaning in to listen, and that's why the next few weeks could be very telling. So as the rumor mill keeps turning, one thing is certain. The NFL thrives on these kinds of stories, where past and future collide, where whispers in the hallway become headlines, and where one player's journey can suddenly shift the entire mood of a franchise. Chase Young back in a Commander's uniform? It still feels surreal, but in this league, surreal has a way of becoming reality when you least expect it. And until something official comes out, fans will keep speculating, insiders will keep hinting, and the rest of us will be watching closely, waiting to see if the embers of this story catch fire and turn into one of the wildest twists of the season. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.